trouble. I've been gone for 30-some odd years, since 1984. I've been gone, you know, went to
Yeah.
college in 80, and I haven't been back, so.
Did you work all those years?
Yeah, well, most of those years.
So where did you live?
We lived in Flower Mound. I mean, I've lived all over. We lived in Fort Worth, South Lake, Flower Mound. I mean, just the whole area. But I mean, we lived most of our time in Flower Mound, so,
Yeah.
which is out there by Grapevine, right there. And I'm actually back here working for my brother-in-law, an accountant. So.
Really? So you majored in your
Accounting?
CPA?
No, I am an accountant by trade.
Very nice.
Where's your gavel at? There you go.
I got lame since I quit working. Well, we want to welcome our special guest, being invited down, I suppose.
Yes, sir.
Good, good. And it's actually a hometown girl. So, like I said, I was gone for 25 years, but my great-grandfather came here in 1880 to the Smyrna area. All that. I had to leave so I could make a living. So I'd retired. I could have went anywhere in the world, I guess, when I retired, but I decided to come back to my hometown. And I've met a lot of fine folks since I've been back, and really enjoy, the place I do. But this is when I would really appreciate Vic opening up the doors for us to have a spot to do this, since Conrad closed his. The one main announcement I got is this coming tomorrow night. It's Tenny Chapel Music Night, which Joe Dan will explain a little bit more, but write that on your calendar every time. But what we do is, of course, we do our readings. It can be original, reading something out of the book that somebody else wrote, whatever. So I'm very proud to be associated with Joe Dan and the group I got back here. I don't have a list of all the concerts and all that that's upcoming. I didn't see one outside the door.
I think they're posted on that little billboard, if anybody wants to know, right there.
All right,
Yeah.
check the billboard there. Like I said, I moved back in '08 and found out we did some reenactments of events that occurred here in Winnsboro that I never hear anybody talk about. And there's been a lot of shootings, killings, and all that happened here in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And we basically experienced a few of those spirits moving around on Elm Street. And so I wrote a poem back in 2012. It goes like this. Early days of Winnsboro had witnessed many a killing within their streets. Not as many as some, but more than others can ever do or try to repeat. As the sun sets once again upon the historic quiet East Texas town, then appears the soft winds blowing with little to no other sound. Many report had been discussed, looked into, and told around here. Some kept quiet because of all the unknown fear. Who is it that roams freely and walks so quietly about? Appearing to tiptoe, no sound, screams, or not even a shout. The visual sightings are very few to some. For others, they carry on without a sighting or none. Some that may have been left behind to hopefully cross over someday. We will have to guess and hope, which it may happen someday. There was the Pine Brothers, both Tom and Whit, that was gunned down. The massive saloon, gunshots and moans that day was the only heard sound. The Fowlers were at it with the law, and soon that would send a Wood County deputy to a tragic and bloody, dying and deadly end. Then there was the Walfords and the Mylons that ended it all as a deadly defeat. the Bowery had the blood flowing and running freely down the dusty old street. Let's not forget the Leesburg merchant that was once again here, shot in the gut at Steve's drugstore without showing a small bit of fear. W.W. Butler's spirit is the one that lives within Elm Street. We're sure he has shared some of the strange actions with folks here before. Or maybe it's just one of the many others that roam the streets at night. When few people are awake, or even when they're within their very own sight. Others, we're sure, has wanted, but not has crossed over yet. They continue to linger with many, and most of us haven't even met. Some fear that the spirits are restless and possibly even mean. Others say that they are given any given night. Occasionally, they have been seen. I felt that sudden rush of wind across my very own face, through the same streets and alleys, without yet seeing even a trace. A lot of things changed here after the year of 1910 or so. Whiskey, gambling, prostitution left, and others closed because no place to go. And these restless ones reaching out to all of us have needs to speak, or needing to reach out to find friends or families that they need to see. We may never know for sure of who they may be or what they may want to say, but could be, don't you see? Was it heaven or was it the fiery hell that they were on their way to? They want to tell us, but it seems they're not sure of how to do. All we can do is hope that they will roam quietly, freely, and someday get peace and finally pass over to their last stop in some final way. One of us, right here on this corner of your building, which I know you've heard of, is the gunfight took place right outside here between the two lawmen that was trying to close up all the saloons in Winnsboro. And this one saloon owner across the street wasn't going to allow it. He called his son in from Dallas, which he was a Dallas firefighter. They had a confrontation out in the street, gun battle was lured, and 3 of them lay dead in the street. And the other lawman lasted about 9 hours. And so they lost on both sides.
Wow.
But there's been indications, I said, that there's been blood shown on the pen found on this wall right out here by one of the lawmen that got shot and staggered back. Here down the wall. I haven't seen that, but I did witness a mannequin dress form 2 buildings up, sitting there helping my partner at the time fly across the room. Didn't just fall over. They come up and fly across the room. And that's when I started working on this. One other one I got for you, it's not as long. This is called The Best Poem in the World. Arthur Unknown. I was shocked, confused, bewildered as I entered heaven's door, not by the beauty of it all, nor the life's arts decor, but it was the folks in heaven who made me stutter and gasp. The thieves, the liars, the sinners, the alcoholics, and the trash. There stood the kid from 7th grade who swiped my lunch money twice. Next to him was my old neighbor who never said anything nice. Bob, not you, Bob. Bob, who I always thought was rotting away in hell, was sitting pretty on cloud 9, looking incredibly well. I nudged Jesus. What's the deal? I would love to hear your take. How'd all these sinners get up here? God must have made a mistake. And he turned the page. And why is everybody so quiet? So somber? Give me a clue. Hush, child, he said. They're all in shock. No one thought they'd be seeing you. Judge not. Remember, just going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than standing in your garage makes you a car. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Thank you.
Amen.
I guess you're next, Eric.
Hey, at least we got a mic stand this time, not to hold it. All right. I got two. I'm doing world leaders and religious leaders too. All right, I don't know how to speak this slant.
Ask Doc. Doc.
Doc, how do you speak in this with it slanted like that? Turn it up a little bit more. You're sorry, this. There you go. That.
Watch it there.
There you go.
Sorry, let me know. All right. I'm no good golfer now. All right, I'll move to the microphone. All right, this one's called, some call her ... Some call her Little Bit, some call her Shirley Temple, some call her Gary, some call her Gan, some call her Cabbage, some call her Queen Elizabeth Alexandria, Mary Windsor II of England, some call her Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth, some call her Duke of Normandy, some call her Lord of Man, some call her Defender of Faith, some call her Duke of Lancaster, some shouted, God save Queen Elizabeth in her presence, some call her Her Majesty the Queen, some call her Her Highness, some say she has had the longest marriage of British monarchy in British history. She married Prince Philip at 13 years of age, which was 6 years before her coronation. Some say that she was crowned, and it was the first time so far, only that time in British history, where the presumed heir to the throne wasn't actually single. Some say she's a dog person, some say she's undocumented, some say she can fix your truck, others call her all sorts of different things, others say she looks like so many different things. Maybe these are all nonsense claims, or maybe they are absolute truths about her. Who truly knows, or who truly cares, either way. That's in peace. All right, this one's called Living is Hell on Earth. All right. Living is hell on earth. Living is hell on earth with its endless sufferings, its endless deaths, its endless losses, its endless suicides, its endless entropies, its endless remorses, its endless sorrows, its endless pains and aches, its endless heartbreaks, its endless living in an alternative reality in order to escape this hellish reality we call life. Its endless wretchedness, its endless false promises, its endless false pretenses, its endless false hopes, its endless poverties, its endless slaveries, its endless indentured servitudes, its endless starvings, its endless longing for love and companionship, its endless doubt, its endless distrust, its endless disloyalty, its endless dislocatedness, its endless institutionalizing, its endless decays, its endless monotonies, its endless demons, its endless evil men and women, its endless pleasurable pains, its endless temptations, its endless rules, its endless psychoses, its endless patience, guinea pigs for doctors, it's endless taxes, it's endless barely surviving, it's endless meaninglessness, it's endless pointlessness, it's endless nothinglessness, it's endless loneliness, it's endless unlovedness, it's endless unacceptableness, it's endless chaoses, it's endless mayhems, it's endless murders, it's endless wars, it's endless debts, it's endless incarcerations, it's endless disorders, it's endless sadness, it's endless manic depressions, it's endless PTSDs, it's endless bipolar disorders, it's endless insanities, it's endless cancers, it's endless diseases, it's endless malices, it's endless inhumanities, it's endless webs of lies, it's endless busting your butts at work. Hang on. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Hang on a second. It's endless busting your butt at work for crappy paychecks. It's endless miscommunications. It's endless misunderstandings. It's endless misreadings. It's endless spontaneous movements, moments of ecstasy and euphoria for a few seconds, then back to crappy reality. It's endless hoping for death to come take you away from living, just so that you may finally quit suffering in this hell we call life. That's in peace. That's it.
Bring something to read. Okay, Vic, you're next.
I'm uplifted after that. Although I liked it, it was a little depressing. So Doc is very humble. Because one of the first times I ever came to town, I just happened to stumble on one of the reenactments in the street, Doc. And I'll never forget, because if you see Doc in his attire, you really think you're in the early 1900s witnessing a gunfight. And he had a number of gentlemen and ladies, and they were reenacting a gunfight right out here. And I don't remember what year that was, Doc. It was a long time ago. You were still in your building and had the dress shop, and I just remember, and if I remember correctly, the same night, the whole town, all the patrons and the retailers, etc., were dressed in steampunk. And I don't know if you've ever seen the steampunk costumes, but it was amazing. I'm like, where am I? I'm in this little town in East Texas, and Doc's doing one of the most realistic gunfights I've ever seen, and the rest of the town's dressed up in steampunk. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I got to be a part of it. It was exciting.
We're glad you're part of it.
And we're going to get that. We're going to get you back out doing those gunfights, Doc. It's got to get cooler though. It's a little hot out right now. So I bought this book from Conrad, who can't be here tonight. He's in Dallas. I forget, he told me what he was doing. He's at a concert or something, but cowboy poetry. And I randomly moved my piece of paper around, so what it came to was, it's called A San Antonio Memory. It's about a page and a half. In old San Antonio City, where the soldiers' bugles blow, dwelt a lady proud and stately, years and years and years ago. Dark was she, the senorita, lovely as some queen of Spain, and her voice was soft and sweeter than the songs of summer rain. There she lived beside a river where the winding waters flow, on and on forever, to the Gulf of Mexico. There in dreams of Spanish splendor, midst a grove of stately trees, stood her gray old hacienda, home of birds and flowers and bees. Ah, that dear old-fashioned garden, with its wealth of rare perfume, seemed of old a glimpse of Eden, lost in tangled bowers of bloom. There the night winds sob their stories round some lonely little mounds. There the mosses' drooping glories draped a family's burying grounds. There of old we often pondered, listening to the waters flow. There of old we talked and wandered, years and years and years ago. Oft when the twilight's kiss was stealing o'er the skies in golden beams, and the mission bells were pealing vesper songs of poets' dreams, we would seek some seat embowered neath the old magnolia trees, where the zephyr's kisses showered rarest fragrance to the breeze. There we dreamed beside that river, there we heard the bugles trill, till the echoes seemed to quiver, though the evening calm and still. Then my lady of the villa, soft would strum her light guitar, to some tune of old Sevilla, or some song from Alcazar. Ah, those old extravaganzas, how they soothed my restless heart. Ah, those dreamy, sad romances, from my life will near depart. But tonight I'm sad and weary, listening to the northern blow, for the wind is wild and dreary, and I dream of long ago. Gone is now that hacienda, gone that garden known of yore. Hushed, alas, that voice so tender, hushed and lost forevermore.
Deirdre, I'm going to ask you to hold this. Just hold that so that you make sure what you see in there is what you get.
Okay.
No one else is prepared to read, right? Okay, I usually close this event, and I usually read a poem, and then a paragraph from a poetry book has become traditional. Doc usually makes the still pictures when I'm up there, and get some shots of our audience as well.
Okay. Candid ones?
Huh?
And candid ones? Candid shots of our audience?
Yeah, make sure our audience...
Just in our natural state.
Yeah,
No
as opposed
poses,
to uncaged.
Yes.
no poses allowed.
Pyramid on the ground.
Doc said, I'm Joe Dan Boyd. I grew up here in the Tenney Chapel community. And Doc spoke a lot about the late 1800s. And I think he said his parents moved here in 1880 at the Smyrna community. My grandfather was Ambrose Tenney, and he moved here from Alabama in 1886. And he and his sons and some friends built the Tenney Chapel Church out there. And my mother was baptized in that church at age 15. I was baptized in that church at age 19 in August, just before leaving to go away to Texas A&M. And when I came back, the church was quite different. I've been gone a long. I came back here in 1997. So not only had Winnsboro changed a whole lot since I had lived here, but Tenney Chapel had changed a lot. It had become a lot more Methodist. It's always been a Methodist church, but it functioned pretty much when I was from infancy to age 19. I don't think anyone would have known, discipline or dogma-wise, that it was a Methodist church. We would probably thought it was a non-denominational church. But when I came back, Methodism had taken over, and I adjusted to that and have been very active in that church since getting back. Been its communicator. There's in every Methodist church now, United Methodist Church, there is one of the offices, official offices, is communications coordinator, and I've held that position at Tenney Chapel pretty soon after I came back. And I still do communications work for the church, and for 5 years I was chairman of the Communications Commission for the North Texas Methodist Conference. So I've become pretty Methodist myself after getting back. I didn't know much about the Methodist discipline when I left. You know, I was there 19 years and learned absolutely nothing about Methodist discipline. But when I came back, I learned a lot about it. And it's a good church. It's still very active. And as Doc said, tomorrow night, Saturday night, every third Saturday night at Tenney Chapel is music night. And that doesn't necessarily mean just gospel music, although there is a good bit of that played and sung. Everyone is completely open. You can play country, pop, you can play blues, and there's a whole lot of all of that goes on. It starts at 6:30 and sharp, and it ends at 8 p.m. sharp. It's 90 minutes long, and if you get there 6:31, well, you're late. But if you want to get out of there at no later than 8 o'clock, you will. We start on time, we end on time. So it's a concert venue. It's set up with 6 acts, so to speak, and each one has 15 minutes. We limit everybody to 3 songs. It takes 15 minutes or so to get on stage, set up, sing or play 3 songs, and get off stage for the next act to get on. Once again, it's free and open to the public. There's an ad in this month's Winnsboro News. We put an ad every month in there which lists a picture. One of the performers will be pictured in the ad, and then we'll list all of the other performers. And if you take the Winnsboro News regularly, you probably notice that. And Doc and I usually are the ones who open the show. We're the first act. He plays a washtub bass. I play usually a baritone ukulele. And sometimes we have somebody else helping us if they're there. Tomorrow night we're going to do, Doc and I are going to do, on that first opening act, 3 songs that are going to be covers of the Country Gentleman Bluegrass Band, if you're familiar with them. And then after that, there'll be 4 more acts, and then finally the 6th act will be George Jordan, who I call the original Tenney Chapel troubadour. He's been picking and singing at Tenney Chapel for decades, and is really an excellent performer. Performed in a lot of other venues in the Winnsboro area besides Tenney Chapel. But he's such a fixture in the church as a performer. He closes our show every time. Doc and I are the openers, George is the closer. So you're all welcome. It's free. It starts at 6:30, and if that appeals to you, I'm sure we'll be glad to have you tomorrow night. I'll just say about poetry. This event was started, I think, 2010 or thereabouts, by Bonnie Sarkeesian White. And she came up with the idea, and she contacted a few of us who she knew to be interested in poetry and asked if we would be interested in starting an organization like this, which she had already named the Live Poets Society. At the time, there was a movie still being shown called The Dead Poets Society, starring Robin Williams, and this name was kind of a play on that. Bonnie came up. Bonnie was here last month and read an original poem. She's not here tonight, and that's tragic for us. It's always nice when she's here. Our founder is here. One of the things that I have been doing of late is, we have, the Art Center has an exhibition of art going almost all the time. And now, Biggs Building, the Culture Club Gallery, has fantastic art on display too. Some unique art, I would say, is in here. And unique is a word, that has no degrees in it. Something you don't say, you shouldn't say, according to somebody named Gladys Burkham, the world's greatest English teacher. You don't say something is sort of unique or something is very unique. There are no degrees of uniqueness. Something is either unique or it's not. And in this gallery here, which I have toured and looked at, you know, I've been struck really the awesomeness of some of the art in this gallery. So congratulations to you and Mr. Ditto for having quite an eye for art. But in the art center itself, the Winnsboro Center for the Arts, I happen to have 3 photos on stretched canvas that are in the current exhibition. Current exhibition in the Art Center is called I'm Home, contraction, I am home. And every piece of the art in there in some way should reflect the word home to you. And you should look at it and somewhere or another you should think, I'm home. You know. And I happen to have 3 photos that got selected to be in that. And I also wrote a poem for the exhibition. And previous to the previous, not the one just before it, but I think 2 exhibitions back, there was one called Entwinement, in which I also had some photos on canvas that were selected to be in that. I wrote a poem for that one as well. The poem I'm going to read tonight is the one that I wrote for the current exhibition. So if this poem speaks to you in any way tonight, walk down a block, you know, to the end of Market Street. And it was open when I drove by a while ago. I don't know exactly when they're closed, but maybe if they're still open when we close and you want to savor a little more of the flavor of this poem and see, among others, you know, my 3 photos that are in there, but there's a lot of good stuff in there besides mine for sure. But I'm going to read you the poem that I wrote, which was supposed to be, Mary Geisler had asked me to write the poem for that event. So this poem was really written for the event itself, and is in some way kind of a part of that event. I call it The Dirt Road to Home, and it's autobiographical. Muddy it was in winter, the dirt road to my childhood home. Dusty it was in summer, that rich East Texas sandy loam. Stark and unpainted was the architecture of that long abode, absent of electricity, no indoor plumbing, a bourgeoisie implode, built by country carpenters of the rustic 19th century trade. Virgin pine timber balanced atop beam posts of Bodark grade. A wood stove in the kitchen, an open fireplace for winter heat. Coal oil lamplight, battery-powered radio, all things obsolete. 150 acres it was, the size of our Tenny Chapel farm. Green were our meadows, and break-even was our financial norm. Unmechanized farming was our lot, no tractor power, only a mule. Cotton for our cash, corn to feed our livestock, agriculture's old school. We made our own clothes using pre-printed flour and feed sacks, chopped our own firewood using a cross-cut saw and a double-bit axe. Grew fields of broom corn, actually fashioned our own brooms, canned our juices, vegetables, and meat to supply the dining rooms. Our workday started early and we worked from Ken to Kent. We milked our cows, sold surplus to Winnsboro's cheese plant, battered and bartered for our groceries with farm eggs and homemade butter. In that era, it was our normal way of life, no complaints to utter. We sang the old songs, made our own music in that bygone day. Pretty Red Wing, you are my sunshine, and my darling Nellie Gray. Poochie, dog love of my life, constant companion. Always at my side. Saddest day of my young life, November 13th, 13, 1948, Fuji Adams. A home is not fashion, timber, furniture, or defined by location. A lot of living, a lot of loving are required in unique combination. If home is truly where the heart is, it is fair to claim we all win. And yes, when you have to go back home, they do have to let you in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We always conclude with a poem, with a paragraph in the book How to Read a Poem, and subtitled And Fall in Love with Poetry by Edward Hirsch, a book found in a remainder bin at the Hastings in Pleasant some years ago. And by reading only a paragraph at each meeting, we're now on page 42. And today's paragraph is, it is the next moment in the poem when the tense radically changes that I find especially compelling. And then she is skinning fruit for me. He says, I am in the room, sitting right next to her. He does not say, and then she was skinning fruit for me, but instead finds himself catapulted into the past as a living present. There is an instance of what Proust calls involuntary memory, when the entire world of the past comes flooding back. It is not something willfully recalled, but something that comes unbidden, suddenly, overwhelmingly present. He has been wrenched out of one time and into another. The mysterious action of memory has restored his early life to him. But he has not merely extracted from the gesture the lost reality of his grandmother. Beckett says about Proust's narrator, he has recovered the lost reality of himself, the reality of his lost self. And so it is with Orton. We hope you will all come again next month, and we want to be really especially grateful to Big Clark. Thank you so much.
His truth, his truth.
Thank you.
It's a great book.
It's a good one,
Thank
huh?
you, dear.
You're welcome.
So that was autobiographical? A bit? So that was autobiographical?
Yeah.
It's neat, really.
Reminds me of my dad, some of his stories.
Yeah.